So a business contract is a legally binding agreement in place between certain parties which set out the relationship, the terms and conditions, if you will. Lots of types of business contracts, but I would say in its really easy form, think about contracts that you issue out of your business, whether that's employment contracts or your terms of business, and also the contracts that come into your business, so various different supplier contracts that you'll be reviewing and signing off. So think of it incoming contracts and outgoing contracts. Business contracts are important because they're usually the start of a relationship, so it's a great opportunity to manage expectations from the start, to really present your brand and really help the other parties understand what to expect during their time with you, and hopefully that's going to be for a long time. It helps minimise risk as well in the event that there is a problem. You can always go back to how the contract started and what was agreed when that relationship began, and that can often unpick some disputes quite quickly, because the aim of the game really is not to go to court. You want to have a decent contract that's nice and clear, can manage expectations and keep you out of the courtrooms. And also, when it comes to future exit, contracts are really important from the buyer's perspective as well. And you often hear businesses say, we've just won the contract, or we've just got the contract through. You know, so most good deals start with a contract and finish with a contract. There's a few examples which will give you an idea on some fairly bad case scenarios when it comes to getting your contracts wrong. So one example, imagine that you've got a nice printing facility in your office, a nice printer unit, scanner unit, and you're using a company to supply that and to give you obviously all of the consumables. And that was all fine until the pandemic kicks in, you started working remotely and you no longer had a need for that printer. So you contact your supplier and you say to them, look, really sorry, but because of the pandemic, we no longer have a need for that lovely printer unit that you've supplied us. Can you let me know how we can cancel the contract? And just imagine being told by that supplier that you can cancel the contract, but only if you pay the remainder of the term of that contract, and that amount is going to be £10,000, for example, based on how much you would have been spending if you kept into that hideously long-term contract that was buried in the small print that you had no idea was in there. But another good example is actually a case, quite an old case now, that involved Jet2 Airlines and Blackpool Airport. I'd recommend just having a look at that online and reading into how Blackpool Airport messed up with the use of the words best endeavours. It really cost them. It's an interesting case, and the lesson there is just be careful around the wording that you use in your contracts, because it can cost you dearly if you're quite clumsy with it. Hopefully relieved, so you can then focus on what you're really good at, rather than going through what you probably think is really boring contracts, but what we think is really, really important and really interesting as well. But ultimately, you're going to feel like you've got the relationship clearly documented with your clients, you've mitigated your risk, you know that you're managing expectations, you know that the chances of being paid late or having scope creep where you're having to do more than what you bargained for, or where you might find yourself in a dispute with your client, all of that is mitigated. And the same can be said when it comes to staff contracts as well, employment contracts. Knowing that you're up to date and you've got all of that taken care of properly is a big weight off your shoulders as far as the risk in your business goes. And it's a great thing as well if you're thinking of selling your business one day. So I'd make sure that they really understand your business and they're taking the time to learn more about who you are, how you're dealing with your clients, so knowing what the audience is for these particular contracts is key, and the industry as well, and having a good understanding of that. And I think also being very clear with you on the process, so understanding how they're going to work with you from the initial briefing with you through to taking you through to the final draft, how their fees will cover that and how the fees are going to be charged, and also making sure that they're there to help you implement the contracts as well. Some firms will simply send you the Word document and leave you to get on with it, whereas others will really help you understand how you can implement a new process in your business to make it nice and easy for you to implement those contracts moving forwards. So if you'd like to know more, visit our website hybridlegal.co.uk. If you fill out a contact form, either myself or one of the team will get back to you. Also feel free to give us a call, 0333 014 4568, or alternatively just drop us an email which you can send to hy@hybridlegal.co.uk. Or finally, if you love social media and LinkedIn, just connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Ryan Lisk.